All right. So Kimberly, I think you can, yeah, there you are.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to you. You can screen share
Okay.
and walk us through what you're doing. You know, I have a huge admiration for your company and what you're bringing into that's new in the industry, and lots of comments that I want to make at the end. So,
Well, this is so new that it's not even. This is like bleeding edge that I'm going to be talking about today. And let me just
well,
find.
over to you. So you share, and then I will. I'm stopping my video right now.
All right. Are you seeing my
Yep, I am seeing
little
it.
slide of all of these folks that we have been working with? So I want to. Let me just move this little thing out of the way and move this over here. Too many screens. So we have been, for the last 6 months, working on an extremely exciting project, and I'm going to show it to you today in all of its sort of rough edges, because I really would like some feedback. You know, I am in the business development side and the product development side. I'm worried about the color, the paint job color, and the bells and whistles. And my team is really focused on the technical, what's under the hood. And I'm going to show you what's under the hood today because it is pretty cool. What they've done is really amazing, and I think it's the future. And so I wanted to come and bring the future to you, and we can talk about sort of how to make the future real and useful. So we have been, this is a collab, which means that we have been working with all of these folks on the screen to bring to life a digital transcript for the state of North Dakota. This was a project, I'm going to figure out how to move my slide here, that was born out of legislation, as projects often are, that there was a mandate to have a blockchain-based project. And so looking at transcripts was a really interesting way to do this and to build a blockchain project that could start as sort of a small piece and then exponentially grow out. So the idea behind the project was that right now, and I've actually tested this out, right now, if you have graduated from high school in North Dakota and you want your transcript, you go to North Bismarck High School and you fill out a form that you've printed off, and you put $2 into an envelope and you mail it, and they will send your official transcript wherever you want it to go. So right now, the high school owns those transcripts. And the idea is to really actually empower students to own and control their records, and really build this out into verified credentials that it isn't just your transcript, right? Like, so when you graduate from high school, your transcript is important, but as you take courses, as you earn micro credentials, as you build skills, as you have employment experience, all of those things are something that you'd like to have in the same place. And so while we're starting with transcripts, we envision this being able to grow out again exponentially. Also, just to say, this is an open source reference model project, which means that if you are technologically savvy, you can go on the repository and get all of this code and implement this for your transcripts.
Hey, Kimberly.
Yeah.
This is Leilani. I just want to interrupt for 1 second and just give some context on this. So basically, schools all across America right now and districts are in the position of new competition. They have competition in every direction: homeschooling, charters, alternative, private schools, and then online schools. So basically, this project, and the reason we're so interested as Learning Counsel and Randa is to be able to provide a value within a state and the districts and all of the schools, so that the appeal to the parent is that the students are on track for a lifelong sort of journey that will carry them into the work world.
That's exactly right. And we're going to talk, I'm going to show you and hopefully connect those dots to really this idea of being a lifelong learner. That's kind of our focus at Randa, and everything we do is really sort of how do we extend? Because again, grades tell you one story, but the project that you worked on for the science fair tells another. And to really build a complete portfolio for a student is what's going to happen. Because there's so much that the presenter who was just speaking, right? All that work that those students have done and all the accomplishments that they have made can be turned into a piece of their learning record. So the approach we took to this project was to take what was already existing in their eTranscript portal and then turn it into a trust over IP based verifiable credential comprehensive learner record. So I want to let me move here. We've been focused, as most of these kinds of projects, on standards. I think one of the things we believe around standards is that every time we start working with a state, everybody's focused on standards. But then there's this one little piece that's just a little bit different. And so how can you really build the most interoperability into a system or platform? And that's why you saw all those folks on the first slide, is that we really wanted to have a collaboration on this open source project that was iterative and we could keep working. But we are really focused on building, and the code base that's here is really built on all of these standards so that it can grow and develop over time. Again, we're building a small nugget that we anticipate being something that is much larger in scope, just a few years down the road. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about the comprehensive learner record, because I'm not sure that it is something that everybody has in their common vocabulary. I think it needs to be something we start to talk about, because it is definitely where higher ed institutions have already, the registrars and admissions officers are definitely saying, this is what we're going to be delivering when a student graduates or transfers. They're going to have a comprehensive learner record. And so we're going to go this way, and we're going to work on building comprehensive learning records for high school, and we're going to go this way and start building comprehensive learner records for employment. And so you can see this is really focused on lifelong learning, higher education, career advancement, military service, all of those things that go into sort of making you who you are as a lifelong learner. So the learning and the experience, all those things sort of define who you are as a professional. It can include so much more than just a grade. It can include evidence of your learning. It can include, again, experience that you've had. And it can be verifiable, and it can be digital. I think I love to tell the story when we're talking about teachers, right? And getting their license, that often it's like this paper game of like, well, I had to go to my mom's and I had to go in the box that was underneath my bed and dig out that transcript. And then I had to go over here and get this other piece of paper. And there's a cumbersome nature to all that paper that needs to be collected in PDF form. And it's also not necessarily trustable. So you send all those PDFs to someone, and they've got to check, like, well, did you really do that? Did that really happen? And so one of the things I'm going to show you in just a minute is how we've really built these verifiable credentials that are digital, that if something changed, if somebody changed something in one of those assertions or one of those credentials, then the inspector who's looking at it is going to know, because it's going to show them on the document. It also allows, by having a comprehensive learner record, it also allows the student or the lifelong learner to really curate what they want to share with, say, a potential employer or a potential university, right? So they want to show the employer that they took AP Comp Sci, and that they had some computer programming, and that they had a web design course, but they don't need to show that they were in concert band, right? So they're going to be sending all of those just the things that they want. I'm trying to get us quickly to the meat of, so this is the solution. I always find it's helpful to see in a picture. This is the system that we're logging into is their eTranscripts. And this is really what we're going to be talking about today is this open credential publisher. One is this achievement service, which is taking those credentials and double checking with the high school. This is the student and these are their credentials. Is that true? Yes. And then the other is the ability for to publish that, to then have the student be able to take that information and send it somewhere else. All right, so this is what it looks like right now. If you log into the North Dakota Education Portal, many of you probably have something that looks very similar to this. And you can see that it's got a My Transcript tab. And when you go to the My Transcript tab, you can see the school information and the student information. So the problem is that when you're enrolled in high school, you have access to this, right? But again, it's sort of who owns that transcript. The North Dakota Education Portal, the Bismarck High School owns this transcript. So once I graduate, I can't log in here and look at this. It doesn't belong to me. And so how can we give it to the student, an official version of their transcript to the student? So they would click on this My Digital Transcript. It's right here. Hopefully you can see my mouse moving. And that would take them here where they can publish their credential, which will go through a number of steps. And I decided that I didn't want to do it because I'd much rather have a conversation. But basically it shows you as it sort of goes out and gets the document, verifies the document, publishes the document to the wallet. So instead, I'm going to actually just take us straight to the wallet, which can be reached either by clicking here on this button, or if you want to open it on your phone, which a lot of students are certainly, or high school students are certainly going to want to do, then they would just use their phone to scan that QR code and it would take them to exactly the same place. So I think now I'm going to have to stop the share for a second so that I can jump. How do I get out of this? There we go. So I can jump over here and show you the Open Credential Publisher. So again, so they would be brought to this screen if they hadn't already made a login. They would make a login, but we're going to log right in. And here, I told you, this is, you're seeing the car before we put any shiny paint on it. But again, your feedback is valuable. And so I think we're taking to heart that idea that we want to build things with the folks that are going to be using them as opposed to for. So you can see here on this just very simple dashboard, the credentials that you have included. So right now, the only credential available to me is my transcript, but that again is the future is limitless. As verifiable credentials, as more and more folks are offering those open badges, all of those things can be pulled in here. But right now, we just have the transcript. And this drop down here just shows all 67 assertions that are made by that transcript, the courses that were taken. But if you really want to dive into the detail, this is where you'll find. I find when I share my screen on Zoom, it takes a little bit longer. There we go. This is where you're going to find all the sexy technical stuff. And I definitely want you to see it and look at it so that we can talk about how is it important to show? What does it mean? And what do students going forward need to know about their digital identity and the kinds of things that they have? So you'll see here that this is, you've got the ID. this is used to verify whether or not the credential is valid. And this issuer is just a address, basically, that proves that this issuer is the unique issuer who's authorized to issue credentials. And then when you get here to proof, you can see that we have the way that this is going to be signed, right? That you actually are getting a digital, right? So when you think about a transcript and you have that signed version with the seal of the school, that's what this is that seal. And when you hit this button to verify, it goes out and takes this information and asks the institution, is this verified? Yes, that is a verified institution. And is my CLR something that has been signed? And yes, you can see that it verifies the signature. So now I know, okay, this CLR is valid. It's an official transcript. And you can see details about me, details about my high school, and then you can dive into all of these assertions. So we can take a look at this student who took computer science. We can see who issued this grade. We can see their grade. It did not do so well. And we can also then align this. So I'm not going to click this link because it takes a minute, because it takes you out of the site into an open salt database that's pulling in the case standards so that you can see how this course maps to the state standards and state course alignment. So that's happening right in here. And then you can see if there are any additional properties or assertions, which there are not for this one. When you go to the transcript itself, you can see, again, who issued it and the evidence. So when I go to my eTranscript, now I have this document that looks very similar to a transcript, and I have this ability to send it. So if I were going to send my transcript to a higher ed institution, I want to take a class next semester, they want to see my transcript, I can just forward them this PDF and it will bring up this QR code, or I can go to this link. Oh no, I don't want to do that. That's going to get me new data, I think. Give it a second. Okay, so let's come back here. Where you can manage your credentials, same sort of thing. So one is I could forward that PDF to an institution that I wanted to. The other is, and it's a little slow, that I can do that here. I can get a shareable link that I can share with my institution that will then, again, allow them to verify that this document is a verifiable CLR for this individual student. This is what the page that they would be taken to with this CLR and learner information, and again, all of those assertions. Okay, so and share. Wait, actually, I wonder if I could do this. What happens if I go here and then here? Does it take you back to are you now seeing my slides again?
Yep.
Oh, easy. I didn't have to stop the share. All right, so let's go back here. And I just want to end with a couple of things, that this solution goes far beyond transcripts. The idea here is if we can do this with a transcript, then we can do this with anything. That you can have an identity, you can have your driver's license, you can have your insurance card, you can have evidence of your employment history. All of that can be, all your health records can be contained in this kind of a wallet. And it leverages all the proven technology that has been really, there's been a lot of focus on this idea of trust and governance. And really, I think that the key takeaway from this project is the interoperability, that we recognize everybody's going to have a wallet. You're going to get a wallet from these folks, Microsoft. Actually, there's just an article earlier this week about Microsoft, Salesforce, and Oracle, right? Everybody's going to have a wallet. It's like the internet, right? It used to be that you could, that if you had a Yahoo email address, you couldn't email somebody at an AOL because they didn't talk to each other. So we're making sure that these wallets, as they're created, are interoperable across the marketplace. Let's see. And then this is kind of what I wanted to hear from you all about. What information, what kinds of credentials do you think that the learner should have access to in a document or in a storage container like this? And what are the most critical features that are needed to encourage students to use it? I think the team is hearing from me about that right now I'm sort of like, well, I don't really care about the proof stuff. I just need the button that says it happened. But that is important, right? It's the seal. It's like, again, thinking about that paper transcript, it's the seal on the transcript. So it is important. You can't not have it. But how do we display it? How do we make that user-friendly? And then again, if there were more icons and things through the site that offered you opportunities to sort of learn more and dig in, do you think that they would be used by students who are needing their transcript? So those are kind of the things I'll just put those questions up there, and I would love to hear from anybody who's got thoughts.
Okay, educators, we just asked you a question. Hopefully you were following along with what Kimberly was saying here, is that just sort of painted a little bit of a picture of like the inevitable future of where technology, sort of personifying and having that individual so that as they travel through life and even through the education system, they have things to share that are their entire sort of lifelong work, not just like, this is my record of my grades. Really high demand from that. Just the national research that we've seen from the millennial population on down is looking to be able to have that capacity. Right now, it's really kind of hard. You have to go somewhere and get some piece of paper or pay to have it sent off to colleges. Digitally, it's kind of ridiculous. So North Dakota's done some great work here. Kimberly, I'm watching to see if anybody comments. I don't see anybody, sort of getting in there and doing that, but we can follow through with your email when you.
Sure, I can go to the next
email
slide.
All the attendees later, so that you can ask them these questions. I think.
And actually, the other thing that we will definitely do that. I think the other thing I wanted to just say is
that, Kimberly, there is a comment from Sandra Nosek. Sandra, I'm going to allow you to talk. I think I sent you an allow to talk thing, Sandra.
Yeah, I was just looking at this, and I know that right now the focus is on transcripts for schooling and stuff like that. But if this is something to create appeal with students and into adulthood, is there any thoughts about the ability to merge this kind of information into at least some sort of rough resume, so that it could help the students as they're moving in, like resumes for going into college, but also the adults with this information used as a storage place to kind of remind them and collect information about their qualities when they may want to be creating a resume for a new job.
I think this is where resumes are going to go. I actually was just going to go look it up. There's a terrible statistic about the number of people that lie on a resume. It's like upwards of 80%, 78% maybe will admit to lying on a resume. And so resumes, I think, are eventually going to become antiquated in the form that they are now, where they're self-asserted, where I say I know how to use Adobe, I don't know, I can't think of a product, and you're going to have to be able to, we're going to have to be able to verify somehow that you can do that. There's an enormous amount of conversation about skills and competencies, and I think the workforce is going to be demanding that. And so I think we will see, as that as time moves forward, there's going to be this requirement by employers for verifiable credentials, that you say, I took a course in Microsoft Word, and here is the grade I got in it, and here is an evidence of the learning that the skill framework that I learned in that course, and oh yeah, that matches up to this employment opportunity. And actually, and this is why I think it's so incredibly exciting, is that it's also going to say to you, because you've taken this course, but you've also taken this course and this course and this course, or this credential and this thing, and you've had this work experience, and all of that comes together. And now you're actually able to also get, hey, have you ever thought about this career path? Because the things that you have, if you just did this one other thing, you could have this totally new career path. So I think resumes, yes, it can easily, we can easily start to build resumes, but I think resumes are going to go away in the format that they are in now. And instead, it's going to be the learner pushing the appropriate verifiable credentials to the employer.
Okay.
And what else, that's actually a really good place for me to sort of end it, this slide that I have up, which is that this is the work that we actually have in production, and we're doing it. We are also working on building something very, very similar for educators. And Leilani and I have had many conversations about this, but the Lifelong Learner Project puts teachers at the center and takes all of their professional license supports and brings it into a wallet, so that when you go to move to a different state or apply for a license in a different state so you can teach virtually, or you want to move, you can just simply upload that diploma, that EPP, the background check to the licensure body and receive your license instantly, because those things have gone through. So we're working on that, and I would love it. That's called the Lifelong Learner Project, and I would love it if you went to the Lifelong Learner Project and just gave me your email there, because we'll keep you updated as that work continues. So
That was awesome, Kimberly. Okay, so